Like so many other characters in the world of Conan the Barbarian, the goddess Derketo was inspired by the real world. Robert E. Howard's Derketo isn't that much different from a real-world counterpart. Also known as Derketo, or Derceto in the real world, she was worshipped by the Hellenistic Greeks as a fertility and water goddess. Before that, she was worshipped as a Targetus, chief goddess of northern Syria. She was mainly worshipped as a fertility goddess, though she was also responsible for the protection and well-being of her followers. She was reportedly sometimes depicted as having the body of a woman and the tail of a fish, and is said to have been the first depiction of a mermaid. In the writings of Robert E. Howard, Derketo can be found in the pantheons of many southern kingdoms, including Kush. She was originally worshipped in Shem as a goddess of fertility and lust. In Howard's universe, she is often depicted as a nude queen with a crown of ostrich feathers, holding a pair of lotus flowers in one hand and snakes in the other. The goddess is represented differently in the different kingdoms that worship her. In Shem, she is worshipped as Derketo. Her sign is a fish, which represents her power over fertility and life, and she is often associated with the life-giving river Styx. In contrast with the Derketo of Shem, in Kush, she is worshipped as Derketa, the malevolent queen of the dead. It's actually this contrast that inspired the appearance of the Derketo avatar in the Conan Exiles game. The wiki of Conan Exiles describes Derketo as follows. The dual nature of Derketo encourages her worshippers to walk the knife blade between life and death. Her northern cult, worshipped in Shem and Stygia, is worshipped via elaborate orgies that include bestiality and necrophilia. Her southern cult, worshipped in the Black Kingdoms, is focused primarily on sacrifice and death. Those who call upon her avatar will see that her dual nature is built into her very form. To the Giant Kings, she is known as Anuket, another reference to a real-world deity. Anuket in the real world was an ancient Egyptian goddess of the cataracts of the Nile, and was especially worshipped at Elephantine near the First Cataract. Derketo in the Conan Exiles game wears a headdress of feathers. This headdress may have been inspired by the Egyptian Anuket, who is often depicted wearing a headdress of ostrich feathers. Derketo's connection to the real-world deity Anuket is further evident by her connection with the river Styx in Stygia, which represents the Nile in the universe of Conan. The river Styx is also referred to by Howard as Nilus or Nile. In Stygia, Derketo is a deity of seduction. To Stygians, she represents independent womanhood and a willing descent into uninhibited sexuality. In keeping with the theme, priestesses of Derketo are also temple prostitutes. These priestesses often use their sexuality and the exotic techniques taught to them in the temples to manipulate worshippers. Worship of Derketo in Stygia stands in strong contrast with the humorless worship of the chief Stygian god Set. Many of the priests of Set would like nothing better than to see the cult of Derketo driven from Stygia, but know that the noble class and the merchant families would never permit it. Despite this animosity between the two religious groups, it does seem that they could work together quite well if they chose. In Paul Anderson's book Conan the Rebel, Nehikaba, Stygian high priestess of Derketo, easily tempts a Shemite warrior into revealing certain information after he resisted all attempts at interrogation and torture.